All right, welcome everybody. End of the week. Hope everybody's there. Hope we're live. We're here with Tom and George. We're going to talk Bitcoin. We're going to talk all things that are going on out there. So be prepared and be ready because there's a lot of stuff. I got a long list. George, I'm sure you got some stuff you want to talk about.
Yeah.
So I feel like we had a nice little rally into the close for the last hour. A couple of decent things happened late in the day. The Bitcoin miners were outrageous behavior today, but they shaped up a little bit going into the close. So we're definitely going to discuss that. I put out something on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it earlier this morning that the Bitcoin miners are under attack. So that's something we can talk about today on the stream. What are your thoughts, George?
You said when they come after them, they come after them hard. They got me for 20 grand.
I mean,
but I'm in still. I didn't sell.
But they did not.
I don't know if that's good or bad, but
they didn't scare you away.
They didn't scare me away. I finally feel like this is the biggest fake out of all times. You know, I'm green for the day, but I'm like, oh, 702, you're gonna brag. Oh, great.
What?
No, he just did a super chat. Thank you for the super chat. He says, I am green for the day, bottom line. If I was watching, I probably would have sold and played it, but I've just been so busy with everything else. It's so hard. It's a full-time job, Tom.
It can be if you're going to try to make gains during the day. So congratulations, FE702, for being green. Anybody else, if you're green on the day, drop in the chat. I was green on the day today. I was green before the Bitcoin miners turned around. Some of my other stuff was doing okay. And then the Bitcoin, it's not like they went ballistic, but things did turn around at the end of the day. So, you know, to have a nice last hour of trading on Friday afternoon is good. It's not like I sell anything anyway, so, you know, it's no real money's actually been made or lost in the filming of this live stream.
Listen, I have to say something. I'm going to toot my own horn. Who was talking about these EFTs last Friday? Does anybody remember?
Who was talking about the ETFs?
ETFs? I always call them EFTs. ETFs.
Were you
I was
talking
saying,
about
remember,
that?
this was the rumor, and now the rumor is multiplied.
The rumor is still the rumor, though.
Yeah, I know. I'm still feeling it, though. I'm telling you, I've never been more bullish. So you guys might be scared. I've never been more bullish than I am right now.
Well,
you know that? I'm just feeling it. It feels like an artificial, pick on the miners so that you get out because it's going to take off.
I mean, we got two totally different things going on here. We got Bitcoin that is just, I mean, there's just no denying. This is one of the great runs, not of all time. We'll know when it's one of the great runs of all time, but this is a spectacular run in the last couple of weeks. I mean, I'm going to zoom out. We're on the 1 day here. Let me zoom out a little bit. Oh, sorry. We're not. Let me get to the 1 day for starters. Yeah, this puts it into a little better perspective. I mean, this was the middle of October. This was less than a month ago. So this was three and a half weeks ago. And so if I go from here, the 15th, and today's the 10th, that's almost 40% run. And that's not from the bottom, right? Because the bottom was really in the middle of September. So the recent bottom, if we go from this candle on September 11th until yesterday's peak, the total of this run was over 50%. And right now we're just at a 50%. We're up way over 100% on the year in 2023. So one of the things, I'll just get this out right now, and you guys can say whatever you want in the chat. Let me know if you disagree. I have gotten more comments in the last 2 weeks that say the Bitcoin miners are I see the word garbage, trash, junk. Those 3 words, if you searched my comments section, are probably like number 1, 2, and 3. I don't know in what order. But the truth is, for as much as the Bitcoin miners have not been behaving well as of late, right? We had about a 16-week period we tracked on this channel very closely where the Bitcoin miners did not behave well. And even in the last week or two, really the last 3 weeks when they've been doing better, they're still not doing what they're supposed to be. But the fact is, they're all up, not all of them, but most of the Bitcoin miners are up 100%, 150%, 200%, 300%. So, you know, yeah, they're not doing what I want them to do or maybe what you want them to do. But it's very hard to say that a stock that's up 200% is garbage. So I think some of the people in the comments section, and it's mostly not the people listening right now because I know, I'm looking at the chat. I see a lot of our members and I see a lot of other names that I recognize as subscribers. It's mostly not you guys saying that, but it's prevalent. The belief out there is that the Bitcoin miners are dead money, they're garbage, they're all going to zero. I see people saying, "Oh, I'll buy Marathon and Riot when they get to $1." Guess what? They're not getting to $1. My personal opinion.
I don't know about that one, but I am bullish on crypto. About a month ago, was it a month ago when I said, "Listen, guys, I'm moving a large position into crypto"? I hope you guys remember me saying that. And I've been still, ever since everything, I've still DCA all the way in, and I'm not backing down now. I think that these miners are just, I think they're going to eventually turn around. I feel like they're just going to skyrocket. Not financial advice. I'm praying for it to skyrocket.
I agree. I think there's a big, big run ahead. So only time will tell. We don't know what's next, and it's getting harder and harder in the very short term to figure things out. But I feel a big run coming. And first of all, this is a public service announcement. Please do us a favor and smash the like button if you're here, and if you would be so kind.
If you want to see Bitcoin go to the moon, hitting that like button helps.
Smash the like button. That's right. It helps Bitcoin. I'm not sure about that, but it definitely helps the live stream. It helps the channel. It's free to use. So if you don't mind, you can smash the like button. And by the way, if you're new here or if you are a frequent flyer but you're not yet subscribed, that's also free. So do us a favor, subscribe to the channel. It also helps the channel grow. We're trying to grow. I got a lot of videos I want to get out. We got some special guests coming up in the future that shall, for the moment, remain nameless. So we want to do a lot of good stuff here. So the free, easy way you can help us do that is to smash the like button. Thank you very much.
Mike George, that's a great question. What in the world is Core? When is Core coming out of BK?
They said, so I don't know the exact date, but they did say they expect to come out by the end of the year. So it is now getting close to the middle of November. So that we got a little more than 1.5 months.
That's a good poll. I got a good poll. You ready?
Fire away.
What's going to happen first? Core coming out of bankruptcy or HUT merging with U.S. Bitcoin?
All right. Can I show my information on that and then do the poll?
You have some? Yes.
I do. So give me a second. November 9th, yesterday, HUT 8 announces effectiveness of registration statement on Form S4 in connection with merger with U.S. Bitcoin Corporation. Forget all of that. Essentially, they've gotten another approval, if you will. They've checked another box along the way. But most importantly, they conclude this press release with this statement that I've highlighted. The transaction is expected to close by November 30th, 2023.
Wow.
This is super important, though. Subject to U.S. BTC stockholder approval and other customary closing conditions.
There's no way.
They've gotten rid of almost all the other things that they need to do, but they still don't have stockholder approval from U.S. BTC. They're saying this thing's going to be a done deal in 20 days. Oh, by the way, originally they said it was going to be a done deal 40 days ago. September 30th. So we've heard this story before, but just so that you know, before we have this poll, they are saying November 30th, this thing's done.
How many members does US Bitcoin have?
I don't know how many shareholders they have. I'm going to make
73. Yes.
Here's an assumption I'm going to make. They must have the vote set in place on a specific date between now and November 30th. Otherwise, there's no way they would have the expectation to have this done by then. This all is, because it's a private company and not a publicly held company, there's some, a little less clarity there, but this is what they're saying. So we'll do, for fun, let's do your poll, George. And
that would be, it's been going on for so long with both of them.
Now all I have to do is figure out why. Aha, here we go.
Man, oh man. I don't know why, but I'm just more, right now, I'm just pumped about crypto. I'm just pumped. It could be that because I'm up.
That helps.
I'm looking. I haven't even looked today. It's been like, guys, it's been insane. I never knew it could jump. When it jumps, man, it just jumps really high, and it's just been, for the being beat up as much as we have been.
Okay, this poll's for fun. This one's for you, George.
I don't know which one's gonna happen first. Jeez.
Which one will happen first? The Hut merger,
what I'm going with,
or Core Scientific coming out of bankruptcy?
That's an interesting one.
Let's see what people think. I know what I would pick, so I'll tell you guys after. I definitely.
I have the next one. Remember, who's Munster to 100 or Bitcoin to 100?
Who to where?
Munster. You know the guy from with Warren Buffett. What's his name?
Oh, Charlie Munger.
Oh, Munster. Well, Adam
I
Family.
think it's bad karma.
What? I'm not picking. I'm just saying which one to 100 first.
Bitcoin.
He's the one picking on it.
I'm not picking on him. I'll tell you who's picking on what. Charlie Munger and his good friend Warren Buffett have a good time picking on Bitcoin. They are no friends of Bitcoin. In fact, the opposite. I don't know which one hates Bitcoin more, but they're both heavy haters of Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, etc.
So, Tom, I have
everybody's entitled to their own opinion.
On edibles. No, I wish I was. No, I had a crazy day. I worked hard today. If let's say Apple decides to buy Bitcoin, how long can they hide it before they have to notify us? You can basically 90 days, right? They got to do it end of quarter.
I think that disclosure would only be required in their quarterly financial statements.
Yeah.
I don't see any reason why they would have to make a separate disclosure for that. They could. I think they could, say, hey, we've entered Bitcoin. It would, if they do so in a significant way, it would be to their benefit to let everybody know, because obviously, if once they're in, they probably want it to run.
Yeah, because if they announce that, wouldn't you think that would be, another one of the catalysts that would just go through the roof?
Apple's the biggest company in the world. So if they say they're adopting Bitcoin in some meaningful way, shape, or form, then that would be big, big news for sure. It would be bigger news. I think we talked about on the private live stream, if they integrated that into Apple Pay, that would be, in my opinion, even a much bigger catalyst than, let's say, even if they went out and bought $2 billion worth of Bitcoin, which would be a big deal. That would be a massive endorsement on their part, and it would be a small amount of money for them in reality.
Patel, I'm going to give you the answer. Tom, what's up with Iris? Here's a great example of why you should be subscribed to our channel. If you're not, if you are, thank you. If you're not, you would have known that Iris, you should have got out of Iris, how many weeks ago now, Tom? 3, 4?
I got out, and I still hold some. I didn't sell 100% of my position. I rarely sell anything, but I did get out of a significant amount of my IRIS at $5 a month and a half ago or 2 months ago. It's hard, time flies, so I'm not sure about. But simultaneous with them essentially saying that they have a $500 million at the market offering. I think it could have even been as far back as August. They came out, they issued their financial statements. They the same day said we have a $500 million at the market offering. And to me, and then with that, they put together a plan, a $626 million plan, and I might be getting that number a little bit wrong, to grow to 600 megawatts.
Nice.
So, it's a gigantic growth plan. I think they're ultimately going to do everything they said, but for a company of their small size and stature from a market cap standpoint, the amount of dilution that represents was too much for me to stomach. I had to trim my position back. I think in the end, in the long term, so as if I'm a 2 or 3 or 5 year holder of these, I think by then they'll get where they're going. But I did think some portion of my money, so I reinvested it in some other things.
I will tell you this. First of all, Mike George, before I forget, thanks for that. It looks like Mugger, how do you say his name? Charlie, is going to get to 100 before Bitcoin. I would bet on him.
Oh, is he 99?
Yeah, he's 99. I didn't know how old he was.
I just remembered that. I remember he's older than Warren Buffett.
Right. But Patel, if you remember, Tom, I remember way back when Tom and I talked quite a bit after. We talked specifically after that show about Iris. And Tom was just like, they just don't want to hear it. And I'm just like, hey, our job is to bring you guys this information so you know it. And you can't say, oh, well, why do I watch that stupid Tom and George? We told you, and even you guys were ripping on us. And, you can't argue with the facts. And the facts are, everybody was sitting there saying, they have the best management. The best, Jerry, the best. And it turned out asking for double your market cap is probably not a wise decision. And, hindsight's always 20/20. But I would have done it in steps,
Right. We talked about this, taking baby steps. I want to address something because I see something happening, and I will see if we can do something about it to fix it. Sour Melon Gaming said, my stream keeps getting interrupted with ad videos. Anyone else having this issue? And then somebody else responded. I will tell you, for the last month and a half, I've been getting a notice in my creator section that said, starting November 1st, we're going to take steps to, increase content providers' profitability. So I don't know if this is what they were talking about. So I will see if there's something I can do about that. Maybe there's a setting I can change or something to that effect. But I have a feeling His Honor saying, yes, the new ads are very irritating.
Really?
I don't.
Is that just for members, or is that for members and non-members? Or not members, but like people that are subscribed?
No, I think ads are ads. So if they're I really didn't know that there was ads in real time. I didn't know there was ads ever. So I'm not sure what's going on. Just so that you guys know, it's not us, and we will try to fix that.
This is a great example, Edmund. I love you to death, and I'll miss you if you leave. But you talk about somebody that has a conviction into something, and they just don't want to hear things that are not in their wheelhouse. They can be the best miner in the world, but you don't go and ask for double the market cap of your company. It's been done a few times. I think we figured it out like 3 or 4 times. It's just not smart business decisions. What you do is you do steps. That's the reason why there's stairs. The stairs is you go multiple steps up to the next floor. You don't make a big jump and go to the next floor. You take a little baby step all the way. And they're not supposed to be more than 7 5/8, just so you know, inches up.
You're talking about literal stairs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, most companies
great example.
I want to take just a timeout. Phonebookson member for 14 months, one of our initial members. 14 months and counting. Tom absolutely called plug on the members only stream and saved me some cash. So just so that you guys know, on the Tuesday members stream, which was just a few days ago, I did say somebody was asking about fuel cell, and I spent a minute talking about the fact that I was very concerned about Plug. I thought there was a lot of room for Plug to potentially get decimated. Well, I did not know it was going to happen this fast, but somewhere I have this screen up. Plug's down 40% today. So I just gave this warning, if you will, on Tuesday to the members. So I don't know if anybody, did their own due diligence after this and took a look and saw what I was seeing. But to me, this was glaring. And so thanks, Phonebookson, for pointing that out. And hopefully some of you members save some money because of that conversation. Sorry to interrupt, George.
No, you're fine. And I remember another thing Tom taught me. You find it interesting, if you were to buy a Cleanspark at $4, why you don't buy it at $3.83? That's like the smartest thing ever. You know what I mean? At least for me, that worked. That just made me, rethink my decisions when it came to trading.
Okay, just so you know, I have tech support in here. He's taking a look through the settings to see if there's anything we can do about reducing these in-stream ads that seem to be interrupting everybody. So if I'm a little distracted for a minute, I'm trying to do something about... Well, I'm not, because I don't technically know what I'm doing on that side of things, but tech support is trying to help right now.
But if I did...
if I did know what I was doing, I would do it. Okay, we think we've, at a minimum, reduced them, if not eliminated them. So stay tuned. Hopefully that situation gets better.
And so I know as tech support, are the members getting ads too?
All right, that's tech support talking in the background. Is everybody, members, let us know. If you're a member, are you also getting ads? And I think so, because it was Sour Melon Gaming initially that brought this up. So... members, subscribers, everybody seems to be getting advertisements right now in the middle of the stream. So,
should be good.
Okay, we think we fixed that. We'll see what happens. Let us know. We're doing our best. All right, hold on. Let me get my screen back in order now, if I might.
I just spent the rest of the money I had in my account on Cleanspark, just so you know.
Ha. Well, I'll tell you in a minute. I'll tell you what I did. And I'm not far behind you, George.
Oh, right.
It says, heads up, spoiler alert.
Right, and that's the other thing. With Iris, this is a great example. We just don't think, Tom doesn't think, and that Iris is going to excel like the other mining companies.
I think it's going to take them a lot longer to get where they're going. And I will use as a specific example that I just lived through. I have a very high level of conviction in Cleanspark. I held them. I've added to that position for years now. But I will tell you, as they grew, as they went through their massive growth, and they went from, they're going to be at 16 exahash sometime in the next 2 or 2.5 months. They had to do a lot of dilution to get there. And so their stock lagged behind a little bit. Now, I do believe with all that dilution behind them, and that doesn't mean they're never going to do any more stock dilution. They will, because they're going to continue to grow. But with that majority behind them, I think they're going to run. I think this is the ultimate fake out. Cleanspark, I put out a tweet, the Bitcoin miners are under attack. I think they're all, to a certain extent, under attack. Cleanspark is a special case. What they've done to Cleanspark is actually, as George mentioned earlier, it's laughable in my opinion. So I have been diligently dollar cost averaging in. Yesterday, I was not diligent. I loaded the boat on Cleanspark yesterday.
Oh,
so
wow,
not
funny.
Financial advice. I'm not telling you guys to do that. And then it went down again today. So guess what? I did it again. I bought some. Where did I buy today? It was somewhere. I think I bought it at $3.46.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
This is what I'm saying. So, if they're gonna give me CleanSpark at $3 under $3.50, I'm buying it. So if they do this again, I'll buy. Now I can't do this every single day forever, but to me, the last 2 days with Bitcoin doing on a tear and CleanSpark just plummeting, nothing has changed in CleanSpark. In fact, we're going to talk about some other reasons why it is highly likely, in my opinion, that November, which we're in right now, will be CleanSpark's most profitable month in the history of CleanSpark. And at the same time, their stock is absolutely tanking. So that's what I did.
Did you read that super chat you just got, Tom?
All right, super chat. Darren S. said, bought plug puts yesterday, sold them this morning, up 1,265% gain. Well done, Darren S. That is how we do it. Nice work. So Darren saw the same thing coming that I did, that we talked about, and so but unlike me, Darren capitalized on it with over 1,000% return. Sounds like in a day. And that's what can happen with these things.
I will tell you, 702, ready? So how are they tanking CleanSpark? And for what purpose, Tom?
I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can tank a stock. And one of the things that I will say, CleanSpark's market cap is, fluctuating between $500 million and $600 million. All of these Bitcoin miners put together, this is something that a lot of people don't really have a great grasp on, and it leads to a lot of confusion. All of the Bitcoin mining publicly traded companies in North America, all added up put together, their market cap is significantly less than $10 billion. There are companies that are pre-revenue. Just single companies that are pre-revenue, never mind pre-profit. They have prototypes. They don't even have products yet that have greater than a $10 billion market cap. So this whole industry, for the time being, is extremely easy to push around. So big money has pushed this down, and I thought. And somebody actually mentioned, it was a member that mentioned there was a massive buy order at $3.50. So I thought that would probably hold. It actually went below that. I know it did because I bought some below that today. But it did bounce right off of that. And you'll see now it actually ended up at $3.74. CleanSpark ended up green on the day today. So I think the shenanigans are done. I think whatever they wanted to accomplish, they've accomplished. And at some point, there's enough just retail buying pressure to push back at, a certain ridiculous level. So, no guarantee they could do this again. If they do it again, I'll buy more. CleanSpark's something I plan on holding. I'll take profits. If all goes perfectly as planned, all right, somewhere in the next 18 months we're going to hit a new not only a new all-time high, but have the next bull cycle, and I'll take profits at that point. But for the time being, I just got to accumulate at a number I never imagined I was going to get to accumulate at. So I jumped on that, what I perceive as a big opportunity.
And Sour Melling, thanks for that information. He was explaining that Iris is up more than 40% higher than CleanSpark is for the year. So that's a great example of why Tom is thinking that CleanSpark is going to go up that 40%, and he thinks that Iris is going to come down some more.
And I think CleanSpark is lagging all of its peers. They're not in last place. I'll find that chart. They're lagging their peers because they just did what Iris is about to do. So
I think you're like this statement, and this is a funny one, but these guys, hedge fund guys, they'll push a certain stock in an industry, okay, and then they will all go in on it, and they know how to see the ebbs and flows of that better than me, at least. Maybe not Tom, but I don't know. I could be wrong. But so they'll push a stock that doesn't make any sense at all, and the one that comes to mind was BTBT, Tom.
Yeah.
So it was the opposite of like all the miners were going down, and then I think it was BT would be going up. Is that correct, Tom?
There were 3 or 4 of these that were contrarian. BT had their turn as a contrarian. BitDeer had their turn as a massive contrarian. Every red day, BitDeer was green. Every green day, BitDeer was red. They had a run to the moon. Subsequent to that, they have had a massive crash. I am doing a deep dive for the members on that, so I don't want to spoil it too much. But yes, there's several stocks that
So when these guys are in a stock, I call it testing it, because they were doing it with Bitcoin for a long time, and they figure out how many shares it takes to scare people to get a lot of people out, because the end game is the hedge fund wants every retail guy out of that stock so they can make the money, and then you don't make the money. That is a proven strategy with these guys. So they'll come hard on a stock. For an example, CleanSpark is a great example. The last few days, in the mining industry overall, that's the reason why I've become more bullish on Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners, is because of this attack that you can see is just artificial. And it's just like, wow, there must be something in the woods that's going to just be one of those catalysts that are just going to go skyrocket. Remember, this is not financial advice. Everybody needs to make their own decisions on what they do with their money. We're just trying to give opportunities in what we think is going to be one of those things that are going to change the rest of your life. Sorry, go on, Tom.
Yeah, I think it's a fair statement. There's a lot of Bitcoin miners, right? I track 19 of them that are publicly traded. There's even some more than that, that are smaller that I don't really pay that much attention to. So, it depends which ones you guys have your own conviction in. I think we're pretty transparent about which ones we like. A lot of times people say, oh, you're pumping this stock or you're pumping that stock. I kind of just give my opinions on stocks either way. And you will notice, if you follow the channel, there's some companies that I'm a big advocate of that I hold a lot of shares in that I will call out if I don't like what they're doing. So for the people that say I pump stocks, they should watch my Riot video that I just did. So, and JJ Peters said, by the way, great video on Riot, Tom, thumbs up. Thank you, JJ Peters. Thanks for being a member. Thanks for the comment. And that's a perfect example. That is one of my biggest holdings in my whole portfolio. But there's some things they're doing that I'm not a big fan of. So, I mentioned that. That's what we're here for. The notion that our tiny little insignificant channel is somehow affecting the price of these stocks is absolutely ludicrous.
It's laughable.
I couldn't pump these stocks regardless of what I did. So it doesn't make a difference.
But think about this, guys. If you have, let's just say you're managing, because what I was told was how these guys work. They let's say they're each given $100 million, okay? And then they specialize in certain, let's say people specialize in energy stocks, people specialize in miner stocks, people specialize in EVs, right? So they take this $100 million and they start to strategize what they do with that $100 million. Well, let me tell you something. I can guarantee you that $100 million isn't all going to the purchase of stock. There is money being given out to people that are called influencers or whatever you want to call them, to say negative things about a certain company. And you ever notice how they just drill them, and then all of a sudden that company plummets in value, and then bam, it's a go time and it takes off. And that you see that happening all the time.
I think a lot of our comment sections are filled with some of these very people you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. I don't know that. You guys know I don't get, the channel shares revenue with YouTube as, we do videos, but I don't get paid by these companies to do videos. So, we're here. Most of you know us well. I don't think we really have to explain this. I see our chat filled with members. Special thank you to all of our existing members and to all of our just general subscribers for tuning in. You guys know, I think we call it like it is. And George and I often disagree. So if we were going to pump a stock, we certainly wouldn't disagree about it and have an argument, not an argument, but a discussion taking point and counterpoint.
I mean, it's really interesting though lately because, like, for an example, HUT is a great example. I've been flip-flopping on HUT, but I'm still feeling when they go and they do their split, or excuse me, I call it a split because, it's kind of losing half of their market value because it's going to double overnight when it's on being traded. And to me, that seems like a stock that you're going to want to short. I could be wrong. Again, you guys make your own decisions with your own money and make your own investments. But I think initial jerk reaction is that's going to be a good stock to short. I guess I got Tom stunned because he's thinking of Sue.
No. Sorry, this is why I very rarely read the chat because I'm not a good multitasker.
Oh, don't read it at all.
I was reading the chat and
I got it.
Totally lost.
No, I'm on it. I'm reading every single one as it in real time as it goes by.
I can't. That's in the future. If you see me not reading the chat, that's it. That's why I'm a hyper focused type of person, and I'm trying to do two things at once. That's usually I end up looking like a deer in the headlight. So,
another great example. Thanks, Mike George. Jamie Dimon or whatever his name is. Was talking about BTC. But look at what they came up with. They came up with a new acronym to destroy Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners, and it was called ESG. And I'm sure our views are going to go way down. I know they're going to go way down, but that's the exact same thing that I'm talking about. And then what did they say? What did he say? What did Larry Fink say about Bitcoin?
A flight to quality, if that's what you're talking about.
Flight to quality. And remember the things that I've always said about Bitcoin. This is so important. You ready? At some point in time, Bitcoin is going to be only the haves have it. And when the haves have it, it'll be like a certain club. And I'm telling you that's going to happen at some point in time.
You're saying actually holding Bitcoin.
Actually holding Bitcoin. And remember, and I've been saying this to everybody, there's 205
symbol.
There's 205 people watching right now. If you want to see Bitcoin pump, get your keys off of the exchanges. I say that every single week. If they're not in your wallet, they're not your coins, and if they're not your coins, they can do with them as they will.
Yeah, it's a double whammy. Not your wallet, not your coins. George does harp on that, and I think that's quality, not financial advice, but that's take it for what it's worth. The other thing that it does do that George talks about all the time, and this is happening, the amount of Bitcoin on chain continues to reduce. So the supply is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And for every person that takes their Bitcoin off chain into their own wallet, that helps reduce the on-chain supply. At some point, this is a supply and demand thing. Supply and demand, they can do short-term workarounds for this, but ultimately, particularly when the Bitcoin ETF hits, that's going to be a big, big dictator on what happens. So, there's going to be an awful lot of necessary purchases when these ETFs hit. And if the supply is short, that will affect what goes on. So I'm just going to throw out another, please smash the like button to counterbalance our inappropriate use of 3 letters that...
Dude, I said that, Tom, and it immediately went down almost 20 people, 25 people. Isn't that amazing? That just blows my mind. Tom, what are your thoughts on Wolf?
My thoughts on Wolf, the higher Bitcoin gets, Bitcoin is more price sensitive, Wolf is more price sensitive by far, in my opinion, than a lot of the other miners. And the miners that I invest in, I am not invested in Wolf. And it's really simple. They have, $100 million in debt. And so there's two parts of debt. Number one, you got to pay interest on the debt. Now, they did do some stuff to rework their debt and defer that. That will end shortly. So both interest and debt service, in other words, the principal on their debt, is going to come due. After the halving, TeraWulf does not mine a lot of Bitcoin. So, and, they do have growth plans. Let's see how their growth plans go. So I'm not condemning them. I'm not saying they're doomed or they're a bad company. To me, they are below, on my depth chart, if you will, of potential investments. They're on the lower half. And that is the single biggest reason by far, because this is all about cash flow. These companies, as they get beaten down, the one thing that they had during the peak, and it's been a while now, when your stock price is way up there, you can do some dilution, get a bunch of money, and hide a lot of other problems. TeraWulf got a bunch of debt. Most of the companies that I'm investing in either have gotten rid of all of their debt or the vast majority of their debt. So post-halving, they're going to have, for instance, I'll take Bitfarms as an example. They were a company that had over $100 million in debt a year ago. By the halving, they're now at $8 or $9 million, and by the halving, they'll be at zero, which means when they have to feel the pain of the halving, they will have no interest and they will have no principal to pay on their debt. So if Bitcoin isn't where we want it to be, and there's varying debates on what exactly that number is, but regardless, wherever Bitcoin is, their cash requirements are going to be a lot less than TeraWulf's. So TeraWulf would argue that their cost per coin is a little bit less, and it is, but it's not enough to make up the difference in cash flow, particularly since they're going to mine half the coins when the halving occurs, all other things being equal. So obviously, it will be plus or minus of that based on their growth, the growth of the Bitcoin network, the increase or decrease in the difficulty level. So there's a lot of variables, but essentially, it's going to be twice as hard to mine a Bitcoin, and cash is going to be king more than ever right around the halving. As we get to that next portion of the bull market, if these cycles continue the way they have in the past, if we get to a new all-time high, we later have, even if we don't have a blow-off top where we 10x or 20x, I think everybody, I don't think anybody's expecting those anymore. But even if we get to double the previous all-time high, which would be the least we've ever done in a cycle, then this cost per coin stuff is not going to matter very much. But there may be 6 or 12 or 18 months in the middle where it makes a big difference. So, to go back to, I'm going to use an example of somebody who's not a Bitcoin miner. I'm going to spend just a minute on this for those of you who don't care. So, please give us a minute to discuss something tangentially related. But it goes directly to this point. Plug is down 40% today. There's a very specific reason for that. Previously in their financial statements, they had the following language. So they just issued their quarterlies. They used to say in management's discussion, they said, this is from June 30th. Accordingly, management has concluded under the accounting standards that the plans... Oh, am I in the wrong one? Hold on. Yep. Wait. I got to switch. Okay. So, at June 30th, the company concludes, the company believes that its working capital and cash position will be sufficient to fund its operations for at least 1 year after the date of these financial statements. That's what they said at June 30th. So they did do a whole section on liquidity. They talked about there's concerns there, but ultimately they said, we believe our plans will carry it. Well, now they put out a new financial statement and they said, accordingly, let me go with this. In light of the company's projected capital expenditure and operating requirements under its current business plan, the company is projecting that its existing cash and available for sale and equity securities will not be sufficient to fund its operations through the next 12 months from the date of the issuance of this quarterly report. This is called a going concern. Now, this is an interim report, so this is not audited by their auditors, but that means they're self-reporting this. So when the year ends, the auditors are going to come in, so they know what's coming. The auditors are going to take a look at this, and this will literally be right in. Forget the financial statements or management's discussion. This is going in the auditor's report. They're going to get a qualified opinion, and the auditors are going to say, we don't know these guys can survive for the next year. That is a fundamental change. So, if Bitcoin doesn't get where it's going, my point of all this, a company like TeraWulf, and I'm not saying this is going to happen to them, but with $100 million of debt, if Bitcoin doesn't go where we want it to go or where we think it's going to go or hope it's going to go, there's a higher probability of some of these companies adding that language to their financial statements, and that language precedes, what comes after that, unless they can figure something out. What comes next is bankruptcy. So, there's plenty of people that have a going concern in their financial statements that make statements like that turn things around. But obviously it's deeply concerning. It's a fundamental shift in, the financial condition from an investor's perspective. And it causes what you see today, which is here is Plug down 40% in one day. This is a stock that already had gotten decimated, and now down another 40%. I don't think it's done. So my opinion, time will tell.
This is when Gordon Gekko, is that his name, comes out. Greed. Greed.
It's all about the money.
What do they make?
Plug is they're hydrogen. They're a hydrogen company. So
really,
and I'm big on. I like hydrogen. I've been following several companies there for a while, and it's one of the reasons I had a little bit of a heads up, because I do tend to update my due diligence on those companies, more frequently than some other companies. I think hydrogen's going to be a thing someday. It's not a thing yet. And there's some big problems, and this company's cash problem was this was inevitable. FV702, super thanks for the super chat. Thank you very much. 200 watchers, 100 likes. Bitcoin going past 40K coming up. Hit on MicroStrategy's 51K profit this week at 530 sale price and back in again. Bought Coors, Wolf, and Bitfarms today. So FE702 is buying Coors, buying Wolf, and buying Bitfarms. I am going to talk about MicroStrategy. I got a bunch to talk about with MicroStrategy. By the way, that is a newer position for me, and it is by far my best performing position in my entire portfolio. I don't expect that is going to continue forever, but while the Bitcoin miners have struggled, and I have continued to add to the Bitcoin miners, I did take out, what would be a much larger than normal opening position in MicroStrategy to offset this period where things weren't really going the right way for the Bitcoin miners. And, I think I'm up. I'm 2-3 months into this, and I think I'm up 60%. So that's how MicroStrategy's been performing for the last couple of months. So, yes. And MicroStrategy, as of today, is now up $1 billion on their investment in Bitcoin. Let me go to an article. Thanks again, FB702, for bringing all that up. Let me talk about, let's talk about MicroStrategy for a minute.
Hey, before you do that, somebody asked about the miners and what's going to happen at the halving, and are they going to be profitable? I'll just tell you, basically, I mean, the short answer is all their costs, their direct costs are going to double. Their energy costs, I mean, basically, it's not going to be exactly a 50%, but it's going to be very close to a 50% increase. So if they're making a profit and Bitcoin, is at, let's say, 40,000 and their cost to mine is 20,000, they're making a 20,000. Well, let's say the halving comes and now it's 40, then they're going to be breaking even. So that's one of the reasons why the price action on these miners are getting beat up so bad right now, is because there are people are already, quote unquote, using this thing that's coming up in April for the halving. And that's why I believe one of the reasons why they're taking advantage and really sticking it to all the miners right now. The next thing I was going to tell you is just because on Friday, at 5 o'clock, we have an opinion on a stock going a certain way, come Monday, that could change. Remember, guys, I have to stress this enough. You guys have to make your own decisions on how you invest your money. These things are very volatile. And, you could lose all your money. And I just want to let you know that. Sorry, go on.
No, that's an excellent point. And I try to say that in every video. And thanks, George, for saying it on the live stream. The Bitcoin miners are a leveraged play on Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is well known to be a highly volatile asset. Cryptocurrencies in general have been highly volatile. There will be someday over the rainbow when they're much more mature that may not be the case. But right now, we are still in very early days for Bitcoin. It may not seem that way, but the Bitcoin white paper just celebrated its 15th birthday. This is a brand new asset class. So there's massive volatility. And then when you buy a Bitcoin miner, you're leveraging on that. So yes, go in with open eyes and full due diligence. Don't invest money you can't afford to invest. We talk about this massively on the channel, and because it's real, this is not a disclaimer we throw out just to cover ourselves. This is important, and we invest in these. I think there's for me, there's a portion of your portfolio. I'll tell you just a very, very quick story. Back in my auditing days, I audited some fairly large endowment funds for colleges and universities. So I did for-profit companies, during that time of year. The colleges and universities typically have a June 30th year end in the middle of the summer. So that's a good thing for auditors. That keeps them busy during the summer and the fall. Anyway, most of the very large endowment funds put 10% of their portfolio for what they called alternative investments. And that was stuff like this, stuff that was ultra high risk that, typically you would not find in an investment portfolio. And, the rule of thumb was no more than 10% was to be invested in alternative investments. So, I'm not telling you guys to do that. I'm just saying, there's the big boys. There were, some of these were 10, 11 figure endowment funds. So, that was the rules of investing that they were using. So, everybody can make their own judgment, but, to George's point, be careful. And, if this is a massive portion of your portfolio, then understand you are taking a massive risk. Hopefully it's with money you don't need. If it's with money you don't need, obviously, and it's your money. You can do whatever you want. But enough said.
Duckman, thanks for being patient. I missed that one. Talk about Stronghold for 1 second before you change up, Tom, if you don't mind.
Sure, absolutely. And then we'll set a new poll. We kind of forgot about the poll.
Right.
So Stronghold, I did do a members-only deep dive on Stronghold. So I'll give you the Cliff's Notes if you're interested. And there's, for those of you who don't know, we do also have a membership. It's got to be the cheapest membership on all of YouTube. We charge $5 a month to be a member, and with that, we do a members-only live stream every Tuesday after the market closes. Obviously, we do a live stream for everybody on Fridays after the market closes. We also the members get to pick a video in that live stream. I do a deep dive and provide that for the members only. So I don't know if there's 30 or 40 or 50 or 60 videos sitting ready and waiting for you. That is one of them. I'm concerned about Stronghold. I am not invested in Stronghold. I invested in them for a very brief period of time. And again, I lose track of time. I'm not sure how long ago that was. But the risk profile is too high on that company for me. I think, I wish them the best. I go through in that video what they do. If you're not familiar with them, I recommend that you go check out their website and see what they do. I think they're, as a company, I think they're doing a great thing. As a business, I'm not sure they've figured it out yet, and they're running out of time. Right. So I'm concerned enough that I don't have any of my money in that. So again, I will tell you, not financial advice. you do your own deep dive. They do something. They are cleaning up toxic waste. That is their core business model. They're an energy company. They utilize Bitcoin mining to make money. They're cleaning up monumental amounts of toxic waste. I think we calculated it was just short of 500 billion pounds of toxic waste in the state of Pennsylvania in the USA. So, that's their business model. I love what they do. Not sure they're going to make it. So, time will tell.
We got another super chat, Tom.
Darren Thomas, thank you for the super chat. Bitcoin miners have bagged 30 million in November fees so far. Thank you, Darren. I get to check another box on my list, so I'm going to skip over Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy for the moment, and I want to show you guys this because that is a great point. All of a sudden, and I think ordinals have picked back up, these are some pretty staggering numbers, and if this were to persist, I think it was Darren, it might have been Darren S., I'm not sure, that mentioned in our members-only Discord. By the way, we have a members-only Discord where, that's open 24/7. That mentioned that, the economics that George just went through are absolutely true. The Bitcoin reward itself for solving a block is going to get cut exactly in half. However, we don't know what's going to happen to the fees. And let me show you this schedule because this is pretty dramatic. Okay, so this is I'm just at BTC.com. This is recording every single block. So you'll see. So here, the most recent block that just occurred. Let me press refresh and see if we're up to date here. All right.
Hang on, Taylor Swift. I want to see if it makes the stream take off again. Taylor Swift, go on.
Taylor Swift. The NFL effect?
Yeah, I do, by the way. Go ahead.
So this is a block that was just solved. The reward was 7 Bitcoin, 0.0006. So we know 6.25 Bitcoin are newly minted Bitcoin. That is the reward for solving a block. In addition to that, you get whoever solves the block gets the fees charged during that block. So you can see in this instance, that was 3/4 of a Bitcoin. Now, I'm going to show you some very recent examples. These are all, every give or take on the average, these blocks take about 10 minutes. Now, having said that, this varies drastically. There are blocks that have taken 10 seconds. There are blocks that have taken 3 or 4 hours. So, it's uncertain since it's, random, but on the average, they tend to take approximately 10 minutes. So, okay. So I want to show you some very, very recent blocks. There was one down here. Did I pass it? Okay, so this is still today, right? 11:10 at 11 o'clock. I think this is Eastern time. I'm not sure. 3 Bitcoin was the fees on this. So the company Poolin, which is the pool that solved this block, they got 9.29 Bitcoin for solving this block. So let's say, for instance, we fast forward to the halving. And the reward is 3.125 Bitcoin. A 3 Bitcoin fee on top of that gets you right back to 6. Now, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. This is unusual. This is the second time this year these fees have gone up dramatically. They're usually 1/10 of this, sometimes 1/50th of this. So this is unusual activity. But if this becomes more and more normal, and this is an unknown thing, so, whereas we can predict with certainty the reward's going to get cut exactly in half. The newly minted Bitcoin per block is going to be 3.125 Bitcoin. What we don't know is what's the fee going to be during each block that's solved. So that could have a big impact on the Bitcoin economics post-halving. So things might be better than they seem for this reason. Now, I don't think it's smart to count on this. If you're doing the math and you're saying, well, I think my company's going to survive because I'm going to count on the fact that fees are going to go way up, that may be, in my opinion, an overly optimistic way to do the math on this from an investment decision-making standpoint. But the reality is these fees can get quite high. The block right after that was over 2 Bitcoin. The one after that was over 2 Bitcoin. So things can heat up. Now, I'm going to go back just a little bit so you can see this is not typical. I'm going to go back to page 33. Here, this block, the fee was 0.01 Bitcoin. Now, this is a bit of an anomaly. This block was solved in seconds, so let's not even use that one. Let's go to one that was a little more normal. Here, this block was 0.27 Bitcoin. This block was 0.07 Bitcoin. So you can see, one block, the fees were 3 Bitcoin. Another block within the same week, or actually this was 1 month ago, the fees were, 1/100th that. So this varies greatly. But when this does happen, and that's why I'm saying this month, the month of November, these fees have escalated. So as I'm looking at CleanSpark tanking, I know that CleanSpark has finished in second place every single month this year in number of Bitcoin mined. They will finish in second place in the month of November, barring some mind-bogglingly unusual circumstance. So given that they are mining a massive amount of Bitcoin, given that the fees are up, you're sitting here in a month where this will almost certainly be their most profitable month of the year 2023, and their stock is crashing. So yes, that's my reason why, I went heavy on CleanSpark. And the same line of reasoning can be held true for whatever Bitcoin miner you have a high level of conviction in. If you have a Bitcoin miner that you like, that you have a high level of conviction in, and its stock is going down, but you see its fundamentals they're doing the right things operationally, etc., then this, to me, that's a buying opportunity. I'm going to end this poll. Which will happen first? The Hot Merger, 64%. Core Scientific exiting. BK, 36%. I will also say the Hot Merger, but I can't say I'm going to take them at their word that it's going to happen by November 30th, because initially they said they expected it to happen by September 30th. So only time will tell. Everything takes longer than you want it to, or than you hope it's going to. But I do think it's imminently, both of these things are going to happen, in my opinion. We'll see. So I think, 70 days from now, both of those things will be done, in my opinion. But I could be wrong. Jay is saying, bought 20K of CleanSpark over the last 2 days at around $3.70 a piece. Nicely done. So that's moving in a big way into CleanSpark at what I think is a great price. So let's get another poll up.
Poll.
I think we got a negative Taylor Swift effect.
I know. It's funny.
Might be time to smash the like button again for those of you who know. I can't see how many likes we have, so I have no idea. But thank you, everybody who smashed the like button.
We're over 100. We're at like 125.
Let's keep it rolling. If you haven't smashed the like button, do us a great big favor. It's free. If you enjoy this stream, if you enjoy this content, if you enjoy this channel. And thank you. Time out. Thank you to all of the members in particular for supporting the channel. Thanks to all of the subscribers. Thanks to everybody for joining us on a Friday afternoon and taking your time with us. Let's see. I'm going to get back to the Bitcoin screen here. So nothing dramatic happening in Bitcoin, but we're still near the highs of the day. We did have this spike. Bitcoin did hit $38,000 yesterday. On this chart that I'm looking at, it's $37,999. This is the Bitcoin Coinbase chart. So depending on what chart you're looking at, plus or minus, Bitcoin got to $38,000 yesterday. That was some people's price target for the end of the year. That may still be some people's price target for the end of the year. Maybe that was it. I don't think so. So let's do a poll. Let's see.
Chappie, Tom keeps saying buy Marathon without saying buy Marathon.
Oh, we probably got to talk a little bit about Marathon's results. I thought they had good results. We'll talk more than that. I liked their results. I do think that we were a little misleading. Some people are taking away from that something that I think isn't all's not as it seems. Having said that, overall, I'm positive on the quarter that Marathon just had. So we'll talk. I'll say more than that, but just quickly, those are my, Those are my quick thoughts on that.
Houses are flooding all over the place. Sorry, that's what I do for a living. That's why I pay for the. That's how we pay to have all our fun.
Okay, we did this poll on the members only. Let's see what the general public thinks. This is a simple one. Will Bitcoin get to 45,000 by the end of 2023? Remember, we have just under 2 months left in this year, so there's not a lot of time left, but we're not that far away from 45,000. So,
I'm going to tell you my answer. I said yes, and remember what I said was, you said 50 on the last poll, if I recall
correctly. We did
correctly.
two. We did 50, and then we did 45, and there was a big difference in the answers.
And I said I think it'll get to 46.5 or 46.2. Again, not financial advice or Bitcoin advice.
That's your personal price target for the end of the year.
And that's right now. Here's a great example of how things work in investing and in crypto. It's very fluid. Something could happen. We could hang up after this show, and something could happen, bam, and I could change my mind because that just happened. Does that make sense? That's how crazy this game is played.
Well,
that's how fluid it is. Sorry.
No, you're right. And Bitcoin and crypto is more volatile than most, but you always have to be updating your investment thesis. If circumstances change, it's a lot of people fall in love with a stock and I'm going down with this ship. I love this company. Well, if you work there, that might be one thing, but if you're investing in it, it's just prudent to update your investment thesis, number one, from time to time.
Right.
And number two, if something material happens to your company or the industry that your company is in, that you're invested in, if you're not paying attention to that, then you're not really doing your that's what due diligence is. So staying current on that is important. I know we don't all have all day, every day to do that. That's why, most people will tell you, don't be invested in 50 or 60 or 80 stocks, because trying to keep up with what's going on with that is overwhelming.
It's a madhouse.
It is. If you do this all day, it's hard to keep up with 80 stocks. I know there's people that do it. There's people that do even more than that. But, I think that's a lot of work. The marathon video is coming next. I did the Riot video. I will tell you, these financial statements have an overwhelming amount of information, even edited down as much as I possibly could. My Riot video was the longest video I've ever done, and I suspect marathon is going to be the same thing. So I tried to put chapters for those people that, I got it down to 24 minutes, I think. But for this channel, that's a very long video. I know people's attention span tends to be 10 to 12 minutes, but there was just no way. There was so much going on, and the same is true for marathon, so I would expect another video along those lines. Chris Dominator saying, sell all the miners and buy Mara, the king of miners. That caught my eye. Hello. Hey, Chris. I know you've been a long-time follower of the channel. His Honor saying the poll answer all depends on if the ETF decision is made. So that's something you gotta weigh that into your decision. Is that going to happen before the end of the year? Is that going to happen after the end of the year? Is that going to happen at all?
Man, I'm telling you right now, I'm thinking, wow. I'm thinking it's going to happen. I'm feeling it.
You're feeling
so that means it's probably not, guys. Oh, God.
Jay saying, Jay, who is a member, is saying, in my humble opinion, when Bitcoin hits 40K, the miners will start to lead and CleanSpark will hit $5 to $6. And if Bitcoin hits 50K, it could go to $10 to $12 range. I hope you're right. I think all those things are on the table. I've recently been saying I've gotten out of the short-term price target game because it's just, it's gotten so volatile, so hard to predict. and the price action on, you know, a lot of these Bitcoin miners. CleanSpark seems to be, you know, being targeted specifically, but the whole industry's been targeted in general over the last 4 months. And I will tell you, I'm going to be doing several videos on how I think these miners are going to perform at certain Bitcoin prices at the halving, because it's my personal opinion there is a massive amount of FUD out there regarding this issue. My numbers are much lower than the numbers that I'm seeing out there, and I don't want to just say it. I want to do some videos and show you why I'm thinking what I'm thinking. I want to show you guys the math. Again, obviously, there's always there's a lot of variables, so nobody can say with certainty, but I believe there's intentional massive FUD. And I can tell you a number I've heard 100 times. Oh, if Bitcoin's not at 60,000, these Bitcoin miners are in trouble. It is my opinion that is not true at all. So I'll go through the numbers that I think, and it's different for all the Bitcoin miners, obviously. So there's some, it runs the gambit. All of them are gonna have very different numbers, but to say that the Bitcoin miners are in trouble if Bitcoin's not at 60,000 at the halving is a statement that I would vigorously disagree with. That is my opinion. So I will do some videos to try to support why I believe that.
I think what happened, Tom, is we went into the really technical stuff of Bitcoin and how mining and all that, and that's kind of boring for people. No one likes that stuff.
What do you want to talk about?
The Bills. No, I'm joking.
I know for a fact people don't want to talk about that.
They're never going to make it. They're never winning a Super Bowl, just so you guys know. I'm calling it. I'm 54. I will not see it in my lifetime.
Yeah, I've given up.
Sorry. I've given up. Marathon, Riot, Wolf. You know what we haven't talked about that I find a very interesting stock?
Which one?
A very interesting Bitcoin miner. Very interesting. Bitfarms. We never talk about them.
Yeah, and they're one of my big positions. Bitfarms is slow and steady, and I see a lot of people talking about, I get a lot of comments, oh, Bitfarms doesn't do anything, it's dead in the water.
It's dead money, just so you know.
And it's funny because, if this chart is correct, it's up 0.0% today. So, that's a classic example. Having said that, over the last few months, it's outperformed an awful lot of Bitcoin mining companies. And let me see if I've got this chart up somewhere. That's market cap. Hold on. All right. So while we're talking about it, this is as of last Friday. Bitfarms' market cap was $326 million as of last Friday. They haven't changed that much. So you can see they're much smaller than a lot of these other companies. And they do mine about 400 Bitcoin a month. They're extremely consistent. Operationally, I think there's two companies that stand out for me personally. The best two companies from an operational standpoint are CleanSpark and Bitfarms. That's my opinion. Now, that doesn't mean I think they're the best two investments. But from operationally speaking, those two companies, I think they get it. They got it down, and they're highly effective operationally speaking. But let's look at what I was going to show you.
I've also changed my mind about a crash. I think there is going to be a crash, but I don't think it's happening before the election. By the way.
So you think there's going to be a crash a year from now or more?
More. I mean, there's only one thing out there, I think, right now. There's two things out there that could really give us some scares, and that's going to be, one, the war. If that happens, they probably just shot us. We're going to lose a whole bunch more subscribers. Not subscribers, but viewers. But the war, I think, could have a very negative effect on the stock market if we declare war. I'm hoping we don't, of course. I don't want to see anybody die. And for no deaths. That's number one. Number two. I think we can
all agree on that. And it's a giant unknown.
The banks. The banks.
The Fed, interest rate, the banks.
Bank,
I mean,
yeah,
there's a lot of things out there that could affect the market overall. And then the question becomes, just because it affects the market one way, how does it affect Bitcoin? So there are certain events that probably, take everything out for at least a short period of time. But there's other things that may be negative for the market but positive for Bitcoin and or vice versa. So this is why it gets hard.
But I do think that they're going to pass some in December. When does the 45 days, it was like sometime in October, right? With the new speaker, they're going to have to take up the debt talk again.
Oh yeah, that clock's ticking. Right,
yeah.
Potential in the United States, potential government shutdown.
Yeah, and I think that there's probably going to put some money in for consumers, for us average people.
You think a little stimulus maybe on the horizon?
I think a stimulus is on the horizon.
I can tell you this, if history is any indicator, these stimulus checks are a boom for the market and even more so for cryptocurrency. So I'm not saying I'm in favor of stimulus checks, but if that should so happen, then that would be silver lining, I think, would be to your investment portfolio.
Jeff, I agree. So this is how war works, at least from history. Initially, there's an immediate crash in the stock market when war is announced. It's almost history. And then the stock market takes off. Correct, Tom?
I mean, obviously, knee-jerk reaction is negative. And it creates, even though it's action, it does create more uncertainty by far, not only in the markets, but in the world. Now, there are certain stocks that do very well in that environment. So, you gotta pick your stocks, and I'm hoping we don't get to that spot. That is not inevitable in my opinion, and obviously we have to bear it in mind, but I'm hoping we don't go down that road.
And last Friday we gave you some fake news, and I want to correct it. The Citizens Bank that went out was only 2 branches of a small bank in like Oklahoma, was it, Tom?
I can't remember the state, but it
was someplace over there. So it wasn't as big of a deal as we originally thought it was. So there's just an example of us thinking that we know and we didn't, and we're correcting that on this stream. 11:10, not financial advice. Just giving you an example.
Yeah, there's a bank referred to as Citizens Bank that's a very large bank, but that is not the one that went under.
Right.
But that doesn't mean there aren't banking issues out there. Let's just take a quick look at where's the.
I said it, and I don't know anything, crypto golfer. I said about there could be stimulus checks in this next thing, because look at guys, the American public is not doing very well financially. I mean, I know that we have the highest net worth people subscribe to this channel, talking investing. So if you want to be among the elite, you should subscribe to this channel. But the average person right now, I think, is a lot of money in credit card debt.
Well, there was an article, I don't have it up anymore, but I think we looked at it, or we may not have gotten to it. Credit card debt's at an all-time high. I think it was, so don't quote me on this, I think it was JP Morgan, but one of the large financial institutions came out and said they think credit card debt's going to double in the next, it was a pretty short period of time, like the next year.
Cosmic, I totally agree with your statement. That's why I think it's going to happen. The government can't afford the level of inflation. I totally agree. That's the reason why they're going to do it. This is about elections. This isn't about the solvency of America. Because, I mean, let's be honest. How much is it going to raise the debt at this point in time? You know what I mean? No one cares.
they're spending so much money right now, it's mind-boggling. So I don't know. You know, are we going to have stimulus checks like we did the last time around? I mean, they were raining money, but that was under some fairly dramatic circumstances. We have from time to time had stimulus checks here. It's starting to turn into a fairly regular event. So I wouldn't be shocked, but I also would not expect them to be anywhere near the magnitude they were in, 2020 and 2021 when like money was just being passed out like madness.
Yeah, see, Darren S. At Kudab, there's absolutely stimulus coming. It's a 4-year cycle, started the Great Reset in 2008. I don't know about any of that stuff. I don't know what's so great about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be rude. I just don't understand any of it. I mean, I try to. Trust me, I've heard that statement said before. I've also heard statements like the new deal, and that scares me. The new green deal. I'm going to destroy it. But those are the things that destroy. Sorry, back to Bitcoin. Sorry. We don't ever talk about XRP or any other cryptos. Tom, you want to know why I'm in Lunar? You want to know why I'm in Luna?
Yes. Why are you in Luna?
Because Tom told me to. Tom, you want to talk about that?
Me?
Yeah. Do you remember what you said?
No.
So Tom was looking. Tom's a Bitcoin guy, and he stays in the Bitcoin miners, and I kind of dabble into crypto.
Yeah, George knows a lot more about altcoins than I do.
So we start looking at crypto, and he read an article about Luna and about how they're burning so many coins. They are just burning. So it was just a matter of time before it took off like a rocket ship. I've been in and out of that thing 3 or 4 times. It's just the best coin ever.
You're trading that. I don't even remember reading that article. What?
Classic. Ethereum Classic. I heard that went nuts. Remember, on the stream, I said Ethereum and POW.
Speaking of Ethereum, let's talk about Ethereum, because that is on my list.
Hang on a second.
Go ahead.
POW is up 44.52 in the last 30 days, guys.
Wow. Let me see if I can bring up the... Where'd that go? Come on now. Well, I might have to look it up. Oh no, here's our crypto list. So here's our top 10. So the one so we'll look at POW. Well, we'll start out by looking at POW, and then I want to get to the one that is a very big story right now. Oh, Polygon's up. This is in the last 7 days. Polygon is up. There's a lot of these that are running. Solana's up 38%. We know that's been running. Polygon 29%. Chainlink 36%. So there's some stuff going on here. And I don't pay a lot of attention to this. So altogether, let's see what this did to the Bitcoin dominance, because those are some big moves near the top of the board. So that turned the Bitcoin dominance. I got to get off the 15-minute because that's of no use. So, okay, so even with those gigantic moves, this line right here was a multi-year high for the Bitcoin dominance. We broke above this in June. We retested it in August. Now, we're off of the top. Bitcoin dominance did get up over 54, but we're still at 52.5, even with all those gigantic moves. So Bitcoin is extremely strong. It does look like there's some altcoins. And another thing that I want to get to, because this I do believe is very big news. Let's see if I have an article on this. I think I do. Give me a second. So BlackRock is introducing a Bitcoin ETF. I'm sorry, an Ethereum ETF. So Ethereum is up. Let's go back to...
Oh my goodness. 30 days, it's up 32%. I thought that was dead money too.
Ethereum's up 13% this week.
Dude, Solana is just out of control.
Ethereum was sideways for a long, long time, but this news on the Ethereum, potential Ethereum ETF is definitely causing, and remember, Bitcoin and Ethereum are, from a market cap standpoint, are so many multiples bigger than all the rest of these cryptocurrencies that when, for Ethereum to have a 13.5% move, that's a massive amount of market cap. For Bitcoin to have done the run it's done, obviously it's even, Bitcoin's almost triple Ethereum. So, and Ethereum's, triple the next, actually significantly more than triple the next thing. Ethereum's almost $250 million market cap. BNB is the next closest one. Tether's a stable coin, so that does not count. So you go from about $250 billion down to $38 billion. That's how small the cryptocurrency universe is.
You gotta pull up Solano. You gotta.
Let's
it's
do
just
it.
Unbelievable. I mean, just so you know, I only bought $1,000 of Solano, and I bought it before all this all took off. You know what I mean? And I just didn't. I saw it get to $30. I'm like, there's no way it's going higher than $30.
Wow, this is...
Sure enough, bam.
Let's go to the 1 month. So, yeah, a month ago, this was at $21. It's at $54, so it's up way more than 100% in the last month. So this is a vicious run up. But you can see, again, it's easier if we go to Solana. With all of that said, it's at $22 billion. And not to dismiss $22 billion, because that's an awful lot, just under $23 billion. That's an awful lot of money. But it's a lot easier to go from, $9 billion to $23 billion.
Crypto.
When you're a $500 or $600 or $700 billion, those moves aren't quite as vicious. So yeah, if you pick the right altcoin, you can have a run that's just out of this world. A 1 month 100% plus move to the upside. A lot of people made a lot of money. I'm not one of them. I did not invest in Solana. It sounds like, George, you got in on a piece of this anyway.
Just a little bit, but I told you, Crypto was talking about, Crypto Fever said he's been screaming about Solano, and the Solano's high was like $200, I think. 205 or something like that, 207.
So still way off of where it was.
But we forget that the crypto, when we got into this, Tom and I got into this, the crypto market was sitting at $3.5 trillion. And at that point in time, I started screaming to Tom, it's going to $1 trillion. And everybody thought I was a complete moron. And I'm like, I'm telling you, it's going to, my number was $500 billion, and we got to like $800 billion, and it looks like I was off by a little, but I'll take it though.
And you can see we are on the move in the other direction. We're just under $1.3 trillion. So the crypto universe is growing. There's a very big channel out there that I will not mention the name. The number one reason, there's two reasons. They're tied for first place. Number one, I'm not trying to say negative stuff about other people. Number two, I actually don't remember the channel. But I remember that they had, I think, 700,000 subscribers. And they were essentially, their thesis is that the crypto universe is a zero-sum game. So you're either in Bitcoin or you're in altcoins, and one suffers at the hand of the other in a 1-to-1 ratio. So
that's not true, though.
It's just not true. And this person said this only just a few weeks ago. They did a video on this. Somebody sent me that video, tagged me on that video, and asked me, what do you think about this? That's the only reason I even know it exists. And I said right away, there's just empirical evidence to the contrary. And you can see, just looking at the last month, the total crypto market cap is way up. It's up, a couple $100 billion. That's not insignificant. So, that can't be money coming from the altcoins to Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's at its high for the year right now, right? It did just pop up, flash up to 38,000 2 days ago, but essentially we continue to hit new highs for 2023 over the last month. At the same time, you see some altcoins on the run, and the overall market cap continues to grow. I think this market cap is going to get, at the top of the next bull cycle. Yeah, I think we'll be back at, double or triple this market cap. So this concept
What's the dominancy right now, Tom, of Bitcoin? What's the dominancy?
It's at 52.5%.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of proves your point.
Right. So I don't know, that's not my theory. Somebody asked me my opinion on that. They linked me to that video and asked me my opinion. So my opinion is, it just doesn't make any sense. It's empirically provably incorrect. Now, that's not to say that there isn't Bitcoin season and altcoin season, and there's some, correlation. There's some times where one may run ahead of the other, but it's not a zero-sum game. That's just not true.
Another question for you.
Fire away.
How you doing? That wasn't the question.
Good.
Oh, no, I mean, I
want to show you guys something if I can right now, because I think a vitally important thing is about to happen if we can close today's daily candle. I'm going to give you a price prediction. I think we're about to do something that very, very rarely happens. So drum roll. This is technical analysis, so please don't be bored. Follow me along. I'll go through this as quickly as possible. Right now, we are in the middle of this is Bitcoin on the one-day time frame. We have been forming a bearish divergence for a few weeks now, and it's been an unbelievably clear bearish divergence. This is usually not good for Bitcoin. There have been many examples of this. 3 times this year, we've had a pretty solid bearish divergence. All 3 times, it was followed by a 20 to 25% pullback in Bitcoin. Now, the one thing about bearish divergence is you don't know the exact day it's going to turn around. It could keep going up before it goes down, but it is a leading indicator that we're about to have a big pullback. Well, we've been forming a perfect bearish divergence. We're about to maybe do something that I have not seen before. And I'm going to zoom in on this and show you. So you can see essentially a bearish divergence is when on Bitcoin you'll see, for those of you who don't know, many of you may know, I don't know why it's doing this. Oh, because I'm doing it wrong. This goes back to October 23rd. So several weeks now. You can see Bitcoin's going up. We're forming higher highs. While that's happening, on the one-day RSI, we're forming lower highs. That's what's been happening. We are about to break out. If today's daily candle, I created this blue line. This was the last lower high. This happened on the November 1st. If we close above this, let me get rid of these. If we close above this, we will have invalidated this bearish divergence, meaning that pattern is no longer valid, and the typical outcome of that pattern being a 20 to 25% pullback over the next coming months would no longer hold true. I don't think I've seen this happen, and it's not necessarily going to happen because the day's not over, but we've only got 2 hours left in this daily candle, and you can see we're currently above this green line. That would be a higher high. So technically, now, we're right on the line. But usually this is super clear. Usually when this happens, you'll get a trend line in this direction. So you'll get a trend line in Bitcoin in one direction, and you'll get a trend line in the RSI in the other direction. That is the technical definition of a bearish divergence. In Bitcoin, they're crystal clear, and this year they've all had the identical outcome. You can see we've already broken through that trend line, And really, the trend line is like this. So, we broke through this big time, but that's not actually invalidating. Invalidating would be to actually close a daily candle above this. Now, one would argue you're so super close to this that, is it a true invalidation? But I think it's a very positive signal, along with the fact that at the exact same time, all of a sudden, we have a bullish crossover today on the MACD. So, again, that's not confirmed yet. We need 2 more hours for this daily candle to close. But if we close with a bullish crossover on the MACD and something in the neighborhood of invalidating this bearish divergence, I think we could have a very big move to the upside for Bitcoin. So, while all that may have been a little boring for some of you, I know some of you followed right along and care about technical analysis. Some of you could care less about technical analysis. To me, if this gets invalidated, I think we go to 42,000 pretty quickly.
Tom, this is what Crypto Fever just said. November 2020, same bearish div set up before blast off.
And did that one get invalidated?
No, that was the beginning of the all-time high.
Let's take a look. Oh, sorry.
That was it. That was game on. It was, fish on, Bitcoin on.
Let's go to, because January 2020 was the beginning of the massive bull market. All right, let's see. Sorry, December 2020, January 2021.
Right.
I was a year off. So I'm just going to look here. So just from a technical standpoint, I'm not seeing a bearish divergence. I'm not seeing a similar pattern on the RSI versus the action in Bitcoin. So maybe you could be more specific. I'm just showing you guys the chart. Now, this is the run up that we had on the RSI. We very rarely get to. This is 89.5. I have a blue line. This is historically high for the one-day RSI. And we did get there in this run right here. So if that's what you're referring to, then yes, it was hitting this 89 on the daily RSI was, and we already had a nice portion of it. By then we had done our run up to 40,000, but from there we ran up to 64,000 and then 69,000. So yes, we did get, but you'll notice when we get this high, typically, and you'll see this is going to be classic, there's a 30% pullback. So when we got this overbought, and again, the RSI being high means we're overbought. Last time we got this overbought, and this happened once in the middle, typically we have a big correction. That doesn't mean that good things aren't ahead. I agree. Frequently, you'll have a pullback. It's a phenomenal buying opportunity, and then you get your big, giant run. What I'm saying is I think we may actually skip this pullback. If we invalidate this pattern, we stand a chance of just continuing this run up. Even though we already hit 89, or we actually didn't hit it. We hit it in January of 2023. That's the next time. In January of 2021, we got to 89 on the daily RSI. We didn't get there again until January of 2023. And you know that in 2023, Bitcoin's doubled. So we've already had a huge run from there. Well, here we are. We didn't get quite back there, but we're back in that neighborhood again. So I do think we're going to get this missed getting up to 89. My point is, I do think we're about to take this run back up to 89 or 90 or whatever the case may be and take this run to 42,000 on Bitcoin before we have our, traditional. Remember, in cryptocurrency, a 20% pullback's no big deal. That's like, business as usual. So 20%, 25%, depending on how vicious the run-up is, we could have a 30% pullback, all inside of a bull market. We have these pullbacks. You can see we're up 115 or 20% this year, and we've had, here's one right here back in February. This was a 20% pullback. So there's one. Again, in April, here's a 20% pullback. And then again, when we hit what at the time was the high for the year in 2023, we had yet another 20% pullback. So we've done this 3 times already this year. The way this pattern is setting up was to maybe have another 20% pullback imminently. I think we may be delaying that. I think this price action over the last few days is showing more that, hey, this bull run is going to continue. Ultimately, eventually, we're going to get our pullback. You know, the RSI has to reset. It's not going to sit at these overbought territories for all time. But Bitcoin can have vicious runs, and we might just be in the middle of one. I guess that's the point I'm trying to make, if that makes any sense.
It makes sense to me, Tom.
So to that point, our question was, will Bitcoin get to 45K by the end of 2023? 67% say yes, 33% say no. So right now, we're basically at exactly 2/3 think yes, 1/3 thinks no. So fairly bullish overall. Thank you, everybody, for participating. We got 129 votes on that, so much appreciated. So that's, 2-1. We think we're going to get to 45K this year. I'm going to do one more quick one. I won't let this one linger.
Well, as you do that, Tom.
Yep.
Wiseman Bit says last 3 BTC Bitcoin cycles, the RSI line before the pullback was 41.1 today. No, that's crazy. It's crazy to see. And then somebody else said it was to see Bitcoin up to 40%, Scott, and then miners were dropping another 10%. Bitcoin can go to 50K, miners will fall 2%.
I also think, and I've been wrong before, and I'll be wrong again. But I do think if this, they can only keep some of these good companies down for so long. And I don't know how long that is. This has already certainly been longer than I thought. The price action the last little bit here has just been ridiculous. I don't blame people for being frustrated, but what I would say is, if you're thinking longer term, we've talked about this a lot of times on the channel. If you've got an 18-month time frame or a 24-month time frame, try to bear that in mind. If you're a swing trader or a day trader, then, you don't care so much about what's going to happen 24 months from now. But if you're buy and hold, as frustrating as this may be, think about 12 months from now. You may be saying to yourself, wow, I had the opportunity to buy, CleanSpark at $3.47 or Bitfarms at $1 or, Riot at $10, whatever your company is. The hindsight's 2020, but if things go as planned, I think we're going to look back at this time and go, wow, boy, did we get a gift, even though it feels like we're getting punished right now.
And listen, whoever wrote that, I'll read it in a second. But I just wrote something in there. My Discord is Kudab, COM. That's my Discord name. Add me. My theory is if you go into 20 coins, I'm looking for a coin to 100x or 1000x. And my theory is if
an altcoin.
Altcoins. And if you vet 20 of them, then you'll be able to do that 100 minimum to 1000x.
So
here's the problem
Go ahead, George.
I have with these altcoins. The problem I have with the altcoins is if I have to buy 2 or 3 other coins to buy your coin, it's a scam. If I can't buy your coin, it's a scam. I don't care what anybody says. It's a scam. And maybe you got lucky from, in that scam. But if you got to buy one coin to buy another coin to buy that coin, it's a scam.
Oh, I see what you're saying. If it's not readily available, if you can't use a stable coin to buy the coin, if you got to convert to this, convert to that, go to this exchange, go to that exchange, then you're digging pretty deep at that point. Crutch said, thanks for
crypto,
the stream, fellas. You're welcome. Thanks for joining us. Sorry, George.
No problem. But crypto, I totally agree. I think there's a lot of shit coins, but you got to understand there's a ton of people winning. And I love poop.
Don L. Brown is saying 12 months from now, Bitcoin will be $75K and CleanSpark will be $3.50.
He's probably right.
Nobody knows the future. So
I'm praying, man. That thing better 3x soon, or I'm gonna find somebody.
Here's the thing: at Bitcoin 75K, I'm not gonna sit here and say what the price is gonna be of CleanSpark, but I will tell you, they will be monumentally profitable at Bitcoin 75K, and the market tends not to ignore highly profitable companies. Right now, the Bitcoin miners are in a different phase. We're looking for cash flow positive. We're looking for, high growth, cash flow positive. These are early stage high growth companies. The market looks for different things. And right now, the market is ultra risk off. So one of the things that's going on, if you're not cash flow positive, the market is punishing you massively. And here's where I think a lot of people are missing the boat. Companies like CleanSpark, they are cash flow positive, but they're just getting punished right along with the other companies in their industry that are not cash flow positive. So to me, those are some of the things I'm looking for as opportunities. Is it going to play out that way? I don't know the future. So we'll see. But this is some of the stuff that I think about as I'm trying to decide, which companies are maybe undervalued and represent, potential bargains. Let me get this.
Andrew, I totally agree with you, by the way.
Let me get this poll up, and then we can continue. We just did, will Bitcoin hit 45,000 by the end of the year? Now, so 2/3 thought yes, 1/3 thought no. Will Bitcoin get to 40,000 by the end of the year? Bearing in mind, we're somewhere around 37,400 right now. So do we have one more run left this year, or did we already hit the top?
No, but Andrew, so just so you know, I've developed a few coins. I won't tell you what they are, but I'm very familiar with that. But you got to make it so that you can get to that coin easily. Where you go directly to, to their website or whatever and purchase it directly from the people that came up with their coin. But there's like some of these freaking coins, they're just like, I just can't take it. The one that comes to mind is, what was it, Swap, or I'm trying to remember what it was. A Baby Swap, and it was insane.
Well, if you invested in Baby Swap, then that's on you.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. Of course, I didn't invest in it. But I'm just saying, there's just weird. There's like these weird, S coins that are they're just awful. And it's like, how in the world did they ever? But people buy them. And I'll tell you one that I slept on, and now I'm looking at it, and I could kick myself that I haven't done it. And everybody's been telling me it's going there, and I'm in shock, but it's moved. Tron is a great example. We have been involved with Tron since it's been at 3 cents. We've known about it. We were told to buy it at 3 cents, and we didn't do it. Tron, that would have been a triple, But that was 3 years ago now. Tom, you realize it's been 3 years since we had that dinner?
That's incredible. No, I didn't realize. Time flies. The older you get, the more you lose the concept of time. I'll tell you that. But that can play in your favor.
Right, and when you talk about these coins too, and these, outside of the top 10 or top 50 coins, when you understand what's involved and how they're made and who's involved, you got to have solid people in these projects. If you don't, then they're just S coins. They got to have a real utility or some type of, value added. If not, they're going to go to zero. It's just their Ponzi scheme. It's just a Ponzi scheme for the person who invented it.
Yeah, for those of you who know about coins and they have a solid use case, if you're a member, let us know in the Discord, or if not, you can let us know in the chat. Everybody knows I'm I spend so much time on Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners, it's hard for me to dig deep into the altcoins. But I will tell you, George spends a lot more time in the altcoins. And I know we have a lot of members that know their altcoins. So
you got 1 hour to go before the close time of the day, and it looks like it's pumping Bitcoin.
This is a beautiful thing if we can keep going. I'm very encouraged. If we have another, I mean, this is a lot of green daily candles in a row. If this feels like the next move is up, you know, and that means almost nothing. I understand that. Darren said, indeed, CleanSpark closed the gap today.
Dude, you just feel it. And unfortunately, you know what this is all about. This is all about ETF, EFT, whatever you want to call it.
I want to go to something that Cosmic Contrarian, thanks for being a member, said, CleanSpark has been a huge disappointment in my opinion. So I want to talk about that for just 30 seconds. And then I do want to talk about Marathon, which we haven't talked about. It's important, in my opinion, it's very important to differentiate the stock from the company and its performance. And to me, this is where I think the ultimate opportunities lie. So Cosmic Contrarian is saying CleanSpark's been a huge disappointment. This CleanSpark stock has been a huge disappointment. I mean, I'm disappointed. By the same token, I'm also in some part, you know, yesterday I was absolutely thrilled. I couldn't believe I was getting to buy CleanSpark at the price that I got to buy CleanSpark, only to have it go down even further today and buy some more. So, yes, the stock has been a disappointment, and sometimes when you're in the middle of that and it's lingering, it feels like it's going to last forever, and it's never going to end. But what I would say, you got to ask yourself, has the company been a disappointment? Has their performance of the company, has their operations been a disappointment? Are their financial statements a disappointment? Now, we have not gotten CleanSpark's latest quarterly report, but if we look at their most recent one, you know, that's our most recent information we have. So you look at that data. If that's all a disappointment, then maybe you say, you know what, CleanSpark's not doing what I thought it was going to do. I got to get out. I look for companies where the stock's a great big disappointment, but the company, in my opinion, is excelling. And that is happening with some of these companies. That's my opinion. I believe CleanSpark as a company is excelling. There's no doubt their stock is stuck in the mud at best. I mean, that's being generous.
I just don't hope that they announce on Monday a stock offering for raising money.
I don't think that they're going to...
That's the only thing that scares me.
Here's why I don't think they're going to do an at-the-market offering anytime soon. And if they do and they dip on that, I will buy again. I don't think they will because they have said they're fully funded to get where they're going, which is 20 exahash. So I don't see them coming out with an at-the-market offering anytime soon. But in the past, look what they've done with their at-the-market offerings. You know, they've gone from 0.1 exahash to, you know, at the moment they're at 10. They're about to be at 16 imminently, and they've paid for that 16, you know, in just a couple of years. So it's not like they've been, you know, wasting money. You know, they're not out on a spending spree. It's been highly accretive dilution.
Whoa. Now you're getting into some uncharted statements.
Okay. Elaborate.
Compensation.
Okay, but
you said not frivolous.
It's not
frivolous.
Is their compensation for the most part. Obviously, everybody gets paid some amount of money, but their compensation is non-cash compensation. They're large dollars. Yes.
It's stock.
So it's stock. So again, I love companies that reward their management with stock. I know a lot of people would argue, and you know, everybody's entitled to their opinion. Some people would say this is just too much non-cash compensation.
Right.
So if that's your opinion, that's fair. Is it affect does it affect the company's performance? Does it, to me, I think what they're doing has been spectacular. I think they should be rewarded for that. And, the more stock they own, the more incentive they have to make the company better. So
I'm going to show you guys this because this just pisses me off. And I'm sorry.
All right. We got Georgism coming at us.
No. I just got this from Amazon, right? Here's the box. See if you can focus in on that box.
Zoom in on that.
You can't. It's not working. But there's the box. I want to show you what's in it.
I know. They're famous for that. I don't know.
But, and then it gets even worse. I had another package from Amazon.
It's in something separate.
Yeah. Is that not insane? Jeez.
They're famous for that. When a box comes, the size of it. Size does not matter in this instance. Okay, so let's take a look at our new. Will Bitcoin get to 40,000? Okay, so this changed our results pretty dramatically. We are now at 84% yes, 16% no. So I won't let this one linger. I think that's probably a pretty realistic. We got 64 votes in. That's a decent sample size. So I think everybody's much more confident we're going to get to 40, 45. We were still 2/3, 1/3 yes. We are having a very big, and the daily candle's not closed quite yet, but after the market, let's go to the 15-minute. I'm on the dominance. I got to get back to Bitcoin.
Dominance. Bonk is up 72% now. I don't even know what bonk is. I'm going bonkers over it.
I don't know what bonk is either. All right, so this is the 15-minute. So for those of you new to the channel, most of you have been here and know, as always, there's an orange line where Bitcoin was when the U.S. equity markets closed yesterday, which would have been Thursday. So it's now 1 day later. So here's what Bitcoin has done in the last, not 24 hours, but the last 1 day from market close to market close. So Bitcoin's up about a little less than 2.5%. And to be fair, where was the closing candle? So this was when the U.S. equity markets closed, just a little bit under 2%. We've run up another more than 0.5% since then. So all very good price action today. Yes, given what we just looked at, somewhere between, just under a 2% move up for Bitcoin, these are disappointing results for the Bitcoin miners, right? Bitfarms 0, HUD 8 was -3%, Hive -2.5%. Cleanspark and Riot rallied at the end of the day. They were red absolutely all day long. They rallied into the close and ended up slightly, just a little over 1%. Marathon did have a good day all day. I will spend a minute on Marathon's earnings. I thought Marathon had a good report. Marathon is cash flow positive. That is one of the things that I think is important. Let me see if I have their actual financial statement up. I feel like I do. One of these is Marathon somewhere. Hold on. Give me 20 seconds.
The dog coin of the people. Bonk. That's their slogan. I'm going now. I'll look them up as we do this.
Okay, so here's Marathon's financial statements. Let me show you this is my super quick calculation. Okay, so the first thing is a lot of people are saying Marathon made money. They're the first Bitcoin miner to make money from, gap accounting. And I will tell you, in my opinion, that is not only smoke and mirrors. I'm a little bit skeptical about something they did, because the very thing that I despised them doing is the very thing that made them profitable by gap accounting. And that is getting rid of that convertible debt. Converting that debt to equity, they made they were able to recognize, I think it was, I'll take a look, I think it was $80 million of profit with that conversion. That is the reason that Marathon made money in this quarter. Now, I'm not saying they had a bad quarter. I think they had a good quarter, and I'll show you why. But I do think it's extremely misleading to look at their GAAP financial numbers. Even their EBITDA numbers include that, so it's misleading. I will show you that in their financial statement. So I did not like that conversion. I think it had a lot more to do with almost like an equity or a hedge fund does to shape up their financial statements and make them look better than it was a smart move for the company. I know a lot of you will disagree with me on that. I probably will get some hate for that, but that's my feeling, because while they got to pick up $80 million of profit on what was a non-cash transaction, so they didn't get $80 million in cash, make no mistake, they got no cash for this. They did get a huge profit, and they sold these at pennies. They converted these, at 10 cents on the dollar versus what the face value was on this convertible debt. So, yes, it was, it did mitigate their risk. It makes their balance sheet look a lot stronger. So if there's some joint ventures they want to get into, some of those types of things, that may be beneficial to them. But, there's pros and cons to this, to just look at it and say, wow, that was a big financial win. They got no cash for it, and they converted, $400 million of debt that wasn't due for over 3 years at pennies on the dollar. So there's your upside downside. So, but having said that, this is a very strong balance sheet. This is one of the top companies from a balance sheet standpoint. So while everybody's mad at me for what I just said, let me tell you the plus side. This is, I think this is the second strongest balance sheet in the whole industry. They have $432 million of current assets. They have the largest stack of Bitcoin by far out of any publicly traded Bitcoin mining company. They've tried to maintain over $100 million in liquid cash. So you can see that was as of December. That was as of September. And I think it was every quarter in the middle. So, they have a strong balance sheet. They reduced their debt, by making that conversion. They got rid of $400 million in debt. So you can see now that leaves them with that. This changes their equation. And this is why I'm saying they're a much better candidate for some of these joint ventures that they want to do and that kind of stuff. And I think that's why they did it. All of a sudden now, instead of being a company with $385 million in equity, they're over $1 billion in equity. Instead of being a company that has $732 million in debt, they have $325 million in debt. To their point, to argue my own counterpoint, management may have been saying, I don't want to wait 3 years for our balance sheet to look like this, because it was actually going to look significantly better than this 3 years from now. But this is such a dramatic improvement that, I understand there's arguments on both sides of that situation. They've turned this into a super strong balance sheet. It was always a very strong balance sheet, right? But it's gotten even stronger. And on the flip side, you're going to see total revenue, $97 million. These guys, Marathon's a pure play on Bitcoin mining. They, a lot of these other companies get involved in other things. I know a lot of people have a big issue with I get a lot of comments, is Riot a Bitcoin mining company or an energy company? Right? Because you could argue one way or the other. I get it. I'm just saying. A lot of Bitcoin mining investors don't like the fact that Riot is by no means a pure play on Bitcoin.
Well, just, that's probably from Zach because I'm jealous. Sorry.
Some of these, Marathon is much more of a pure play on Bitcoin. And you'll see cost of revenue. So again, I look at cash costs. I'm looking at cash. I want to see, are these companies cash flow positive? The answer in Marathon's case right now is yes. So to me, that is extremely important. $97 million in revenue, $59 million in cost of sales. So they've got gross profit. That gross profit exceeds their overhead, which is $20 million. Right? So they've got, close to $20 million in gross profit if you take, in cash flow, if you just take their revenue minus their cash costs, direct costs, minus their overhead. And actually, even some of this G&A is non-cash, so it's actually even better than that. Now, they have some nonsense on here. I'm not even going to get into this $31 million that they're counting. Gain on digital assets and gain/loss on digital assets loans receivable, $31 million. This has nothing to do with day-to-day operations. So there's $31 million that they're recognizing in profitability that's got nothing to do with daily operations. Net gain from extinguishment of debt, $82 million. These are one-off items. So when you sit here and look and say, these guys had $64 million in income, they are now profitable. 82 million of their 64 million is a one-time only, never to be done again, extinguishment of debt. So just bear that in mind. Again, I'm positive on this. When we do the equation, revenue minus cost of sales minus cash amount of overhead, which is less than this 20 million, they're cash flow positive. That's what I'm looking for. I want to see companies that are cash flow positive. Their gross margin isn't what it should be, but it's getting better, and I think it's going to continue to get better as they reach more economies of scale. So I like everything that I'm seeing here. No company is perfect. I could go through my list of criticisms, as could everybody. I haven't found the perfect Bitcoin miner yet, but this was in my opinion, this was Marathon's best quarter yet. They have a rock solid balance sheet. They're making leaps and bounds. Their cost per coin is too high. That is an absolute definite issue. Now, if Bitcoin's at 80 or 100 or 120,000 or 160,000, that's not going to make any difference at all. So 18 to 24 months from now, that may mean nothing. I also believe they're going to lower their cost per coin. Now, the halving will increase their cost per coin, but I'm saying proportionally, I think they're going to get more efficient as a company. That's my personal opinion. So, a quick nutshell, I like what I see here from Marathon. But I do think it's important to keep in mind the biggest pieces on their income statement are one-time, non-reoccurring, mostly non-cash items. So we want to be careful when we look at these financial statements as to exactly what they mean. So in my opinion, and I will do a deep dive on this because this was super brief, in my opinion, moving in the right direction. Their best report yet. I do think it's going to get better, but I think they have room to go. That's my quick assessment on Marathon. Obviously, there's a much, much deeper dive to be done than that. So, if I've left some stuff out, this was my 3-minute, quick conversation on this.
Quick?
Thoughts? Why? Did that seem like a long time?
I'm just giving you a rough time.
You can leave your thoughts and comments and whether you like what I said or don't like what I said about Marathon. I know there's a lot of people that are very passionate about Marathon. So in both directions, but more and more so, there's a lot more people that like Marathon, and I like the direction they're moving in. I mean, there's no question. And I've been somebody, when they had bad quarters, I was not shy about it. So, if you look back at my videos, I'm not a cheerleader. I just try to tell it like it is, and I think they're moving in the right direction.
Well, Tom, I think this is a perfect time for me to say adios, muchachos.
All right, George, thank you for joining us on this Friday live stream.
Hopefully everybody else did.
Yes.
Dude, don't say that. Leo just said miners won't pump until after the halving. Please, no, stop.
I'm more optimistic than that.
Are you going to stay until the cycle to close out?
No, I actually have to go in a few minutes as well. This stream's already longer than average. So I'm going to wrap it up in a few minutes.
A lot of fun, though. Thanks, guys.
Great stream. Thanks, George, for joining us. As always, have a great weekend.
Go Bitcoin. See ya.
Go Bitcoin. Let me switch here. That's it for George. All right, so we'll also end the poll. Now we got 86 votes, and we're basically in the same place. Will Bitcoin get to 40,000? So the vast majority of us, I think, feel like Bitcoin's getting to 40,000. We do have 14% that said no. 86% said yes. So big difference between 40 and 45,000. We're a little more skeptical on 45,000, although we still had a 2/3 majority on 45,000. I'm positive. I think there's a really good chance Bitcoin gets to 45,000. I'm all in at 40,000. I think there's a good chance we get to 45,000 by the end of the year. But also, I will tell you, I'm trying to focus less and less on 30, 60, 90-day price targets. I think that, the next bull market is still ahead of us. I think there's a lot of Bitcoin miners that are positioned properly to get through the halving regardless of the price of Bitcoin, more so than a lot of the very big channels are talking about. I know there's a lot of, YouTube channels that are anywhere from 10 to 100 times my size that disagree with this, so that's why I will be doing some videos to tell you why I think there's a bunch of Bitcoin miners poised regardless of what happens between now and the halving. So I am trying to keep in mind, what's my 12, 18, 24-month goal here with these Bitcoin miners. So, I would just say, if you're a long-term investor, try to remember that piece of the puzzle. However frustrating any one day may be or any one week may be, the one thing I try to take away is this was a great week for Bitcoin. Even though the Bitcoin miners lagged, ultimately what's good for Bitcoin is going to be good for the Bitcoin miners, in my opinion. So, the more this runs, if the Bitcoin miners take their time in catching up, so be it. I think there will be a time where we're in the reverse situation, where it's the Bitcoin miners doing the catching up and far exceeding the performance of Bitcoin. But time will tell. That's what's happened in the past. There have been times where, Bitcoin's doing 5x, 10x over the course of a week or a month what Bitcoin is doing. So we'll see if those times are ahead. And it may not be tomorrow, but again, trying to think bigger picture. So with that said, I want to thank everybody for a great live stream. Hopefully you guys had a decent week. I know the Bitcoin miners, all of them didn't necessarily do exactly what we wanted, but big step in the right direction. I'll just finish out by going to the weekly, and where's last Friday was here. So let's just make this our new routine. This was last Friday's candle. So if we go from the close of last Friday's candle, and that was not the low, it got much lower, but from the close of last Friday's candle to where we are right now, Bitcoin's up, almost 8%. So this was a spectacular week for Bitcoin. I feel good about it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the stream. Thanks so much. Everybody have a fantastic weekend. Look for a bunch of videos for me over the next week or two as more financial statements come out. Special thanks again to members. If you have not yet subscribed and enjoy the content, please consider subscribing to the channel, smashing the like button. So thanks again. Everybody have a great weekend. Be safe, and we will see you. We'll see the members Tuesday after the market closes, and we'll see everybody else in the videos this week and, of course, on the live stream next Friday.